Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney. It's a beautiful day today here in Great Neck, and I want to share some great information with you. I hope you enjoy this beautiful pre-Super Bowl Sunday video because it'll provide you with some great information that'll help you understand how medical malpractice cases work here in the state of New York. All right, so let's get right to it. First question is, does the judge decide which jurors actually stay and decide your particular medical malpractice case? You want to know the answer? Join me on this walk through the neighborhood as I explain the answer to this question. All right, so imagine this scenario. Imagine you brought a lawsuit because you believe that your doctor was careless, causing you significant harm and injury. And now what happens? Now your doctor denies all of your allegations. So what happens then? Your case goes through the entire litigation process, which could take anywhere from 2 to 3 years here in New York. Fine, now your case approaches trial. The defense refuses to negotiate. And now the judge tells the attorneys, go pick a jury. Now what does that mean, go pick a jury? It means we have to find 6 members of the community who tell us they can be fair and impartial. People who are going to sit and decide a dispute that we've had for years now that we can't resolve among the parties, right? That's what has brought us to this trial. There's a dispute. You believe that your doctor was careless. Your doctor says, wait a second, I did nothing wrong. You believe that his carelessness was a cause of your injury. The doctor said, even if I did something wrong, whatever I did didn't cause or contribute to your injury. All right? Then he says, listen, if I did something wrong, so did you, Mr. Patient. He puts the blame on you. And then we say, you know what? We claim that not only was the doctor careless, and that his carelessness caused you harm and injury, but that your injuries are very significant. And the doctor turns around and says, wait a second, I didn't do anything wrong, but if I did something wrong, whatever I did didn't cause or contribute to your injuries. And then he says, you know what? If I did something wrong and I caused you harm, your injuries really are not as bad as you claim them to be. So those are typically what we see in these types of cases, right? So those are the 4 defenses that we really see in these medical malpractice cases. So we've got clear disputes. Disputes between the patient, disputes between the doctor. And now, since the parties cannot resolve their disputes, now we have to have 6 members of the community make a decision, listen to the testimony, listen to the evidence, to decide whether we are slightly more likely right than wrong. That's what has to happen. And in order to do that, we have to have a trial. Okay, now, in these medical malpractice cases here in state court, these are civil lawsuits. They're not criminal cases. Nobody's going to jail. The whole purpose of these cases is to determine whether or not we are slightly more likely right than wrong, that number 1, your doctor was careless, and number 2, whether his carelessness was a cause of your injury. It doesn't have to be the sole cause, it only has to be a cause. And then once the jury determines, yes, the doctor was careless, and yes, his carelessness caused you harm, now the only other issues will be to decide how much money you are to receive for all of the damages and losses that you suffered because of the doctor's wrongdoing. So, how do we do jury selection? Well, let me tell you something that's really interesting and a lot of people don't even know about. It's not really jury selection. We don't go into a room full of people, a bunch of strangers from the community, and talk to them for a few minutes and say, okay, you know what? I like juror number 1, I like juror number 4, I like juror number 7. I want those people on my jury. They're the best ones for me. That's not how it works. That would be great if it did. Instead, it should be called jury deselection. We actually have to remove those jurors whom we do not like. So I may say, you know what? I don't like juror number 2. I don't like juror number 3. I don't like juror number 6. Those people are excused from this panel, and now they can go back to the central jury room and wait for another case. And the remaining jurors who are still sitting there, they are now on our jury. Those are the jurors that we have selected. How do you like that? That's what jury selection is really all about, and that's how it happens. But now I raise an interesting question at the beginning of this video, and that question is, does the judge decide who sits on our jury? And the answer really is no, but there's a but. No but. Now let me tell you what I mean. During the course of this conversation that we have with the jury, each attorney has an opportunity to talk to the members of the jury, 30 people or 25 people sitting in a room that the jury clerk has brought together. And now we have a chance to talk to them, to learn about their background, to see whether or not they have any biases or prejudices. And if they do, now I want to go ahead and expose them to the other jurors, and I want to see what the other jurors have to say about that. Okay, that's a very important point, and really good attorneys do that very well. And it's critical to do during the course of jury selection. All right, so now each attorney has the opportunity to remove pretty much 3 jurors without giving any reason whatsoever. I could turn around and say, okay, I don't like juror number 1, 2, or 3, they're off. And I don't have to give my opponent any reason for what I'm doing. Fine. Now my opponent gets up to talk to these jurors, and guess what? He doesn't like 2 of the jurors. He doesn't like jurors number 4 and 5, and he doesn't have to give a reason either. What that means is that I have now used up all 3 of my opportunities. We call them challenges, peremptory challenges. That's the fancy term for it. I have now used up all of my opportunities to remove someone from the jury without giving a single reason. All right. Now, why is that a problem? It's a problem because on the next round, when we refill those seats from the people in the back of the room who now are stepping forward to take the place of the first 3 people that I excused and the 2 people that my opponent excused, guess what? Now, if I don't like a particular juror, there's nothing I can do to remove them using one of these peremptory challenges. So I now have to give a reason. And if my reason falls flat or doesn't have much merit, guess what? That person will remain on our jury. So that's a problem. So what do I have to do instead? I have to talk to the juror further to see whether or not they can be fair and impartial. And if I feel that they are not the right juror for this case, and I tell my opponent that I don't believe this person should be sitting on the case and he disagrees, well, guess what? Now we have to take the issue to the judge. There is a judge who decides these issues, who evaluates whether or not certain jurors should be sitting on a particular type of case. So now we present the issue to the judge. Judge, juror number 2 has told me that they've been involved in a case before, a malpractice case. They sued their doctor and they were very, very unhappy. I'm concerned that this person is going to go ahead and bend over backwards and ultimately hurt my client or hurt the defense. And now I have to give some valid legal reason why I don't believe this person should be sitting on our case. The judge then goes ahead, and what does he do? He now makes a decision about whether or not this person will remain as a juror. So when I said earlier, in response to my question, who decides who sits on our jury? The answer is the attorneys do. But there are instances where we have used up our opportunities to remove jurors for no reason at all, and now we have a challenge for cause. Now I have to give the court a reason why I want a particular juror off, and it is now the judge who will determine whether or not he agrees with me and removes that juror or keeps them on. So why do I share this quick information with you on this beautiful walk through the neighborhood on Super Bowl Sunday? I share it with you just to give you an insight and an understanding to what really goes on in these medical malpractice cases and jury selection here in New York. You know, I realize you're watching this because it came up in your feed or you've been searching for it and you have questions. And now, if you do have questions about your matter and you have not yet started a lawsuit and are thinking of doing so, and have questions that need to be answered, what I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. You know, I answer questions like yours every single day, and I'd love to talk to you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at Oginski-law.com. That's it for today's video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a wonderful day.